In a quiet village of Umuama, where everyone knows everyone by name, a man returned from the city with wealth, influence, and a story that didn't add up. He claimed to be a government agent, but what he really was would shock the entire village and disgrace an entire family. Tony Nwokedi left Umuama 8 years ago as a struggling mechanic. No one heard much from him until he suddenly reappeared, dressed in fine agbada, gold chains, and driving a black Prado SUV. He claimed he now worked with the Federal Ministry of Works, awarding multi-million naira contracts. He started building a mansion. Every Sunday, he threw cash at the youth after church service. Elders bowed before him. Young girls fought to greet him first. He even demanded the title Chief Eziodo I of Umuama. But some people began to whisper, how did Tony suddenly become rich? He no go school now. Why is he afraid of cameras? One man wasn't convinced. Pa Ezekwesili, the 78-year-old retired headmaster who taught Tony in primary school. He noticed Tony couldn't spell simple words or discuss national issues beyond surface-level gossip. One day at a community meeting, Tony was asked about a road project supposedly under his ministry. His answer was full of lies and confusion. That's when Pa Ezekwesili reached out to his cousin in Abuja, who truly worked at the Federal Ministry of Works. The cousins searched everywhere. No record of Tony Nwokedi, no staff, no contract, no file. A trap was set. The village youth leader, Kelechi, pretended to be a contractor looking for a job. He offered Tony 2 million naira in mobilization money to help secure a fake contract. Tony eagerly agreed. The transaction took place secretly, but what Tony didn't know was that the entire meeting was recorded. By the next day, with the help of the local police and village vigilante, Tony was picked up at his new mansion just as he was about to organize a fake contract signing party. He was dragged straight to the village square, tied with rope, dusty, ashamed, and surrounded by villagers. The Igwe, the traditional ruler, council of elders, and hundreds of villagers gathered. Evidence was played through a borrowed speaker. The youth screamed, "Ole," meaning thief, while women ululated in shame. His own mother collapsed when she heard the recordings. His younger brother, who had been bragging about his big brother in government, was pelted with sachet water. The Nwokedi family was summoned. The elders accused them of covering up Tony's lies and enjoying his stolen wealth. They were forced to return the money he gave them, including a goat donated for the last New Yam festival. The Igwe declared, "From this day, until the gods cleanse this land, the name Nwokedi is stripped of honor. Let no child of that family sit in our meetings until they prove themselves worthy again." Tony was sentenced to 1 year in prison and community service after confessing to impersonating a government official and scamming villagers. But the real shock came later. The police investigation revealed that Tony had impersonated over 6 different officials across other neighboring states, collecting over 20 million naira from unsuspecting communities. His face was plastered across newspapers and blogs. He became known as the village fraudster. After the sting operation, the village youth leader handed Tony's business card to the police. It boldly read, "Engineer Anthony Ngotedi, Director of Federal Roads and Infrastructure, Ministry of Works, Abuja." But when the police called the number printed on the card, it rang to a cheap burner phone, answered by Tony himself, pretending to be his personal assistant. Worse still, the ministry's official logo on the card was a poor quality copy and the email address ended in @yahoo.com. That card alone was enough for the police to confirm this was not just village gossip. Tony had created a full fake identity. In Nigeria, where everyone wants to shine, many pretend to be who they're not. But no matter how long the lie lasts, the truth will catch up. Tony's story is a warning. Never envy loud success. Investigate it first. After serving 1 year in prison and performing community service for impersonation and fraud, Tony Nwokedi should have disappeared quietly into shame and rehabilitation. But no. Just a few months after his release, whispers began again, this time from outside Umuama. Someone saw Tony in a viral photo on Instagram, laughing at a luxury party in Abuja, surrounded by politicians and businessmen. He had a new name now, Anthony Kalu Ukuri, consultant to the ECOWAS Transport Advisory Board. He wasn't just back, he was bigger, bolder, and more dangerous than before. Within a year, Tony stunned everyone by marrying Miss Chinyere Udo, the elegant daughter of Senator Fidelis Udo, a powerful figure in the National Assembly. The wedding was the talk of the nation. Photos of Tony in designer agbada, surrounded by security escorts and luxury cars, flooded social media. He now moved with senators, international contractors, and oil executives. But behind the glitz, Tony was running a syndicate. Tony's new wife had unknowingly opened doors. He began siphoning millions through fake road consultancy projects, falsified ECOWAS contracts, and advance fee scams targeting foreign contractors. He even convinced a European investor to send 250,000 euros for a West African toll bridge project that existed only on forged letterheads and AI-generated maps. He was smooth, confident, untraceable, or so he thought. But far away in the quiet village of Umuama, a woman watched the rising of this false star. In a tattered mud hut near the edge of the village lived Mama Uzuamaka, an old woman barely remembered by most people. One Sunday morning, Tony came to the village for a brief visit. As always, he arrived in a convoy, throwing cash, flanked by men in fake military uniform. The villagers, though still wary, had started accepting him again, believing he had changed after prison. As Tony was laughing and boasting in front of the village square, the old blind woman stepped out slowly from the crowd. Her voice shook, but was sharp like a blade. Onyedika. Tony froze. Onyedika Nwokedi, the boy I picked from the roadside when your mother threw you away. Do you think I don't know the face of the boy I raised with pap and firewood soup? The crowd gasped. Some laughed, thinking she was just confused. But she stepped closer and whispered, I warned you even before the first lie. I told you no evil seed grows forever. Why are you running from your name? Why are you ashamed of the truth? Tony turned his back, embarrassed. Security tried to push the woman away. She called louder, Tell me, what happened to the young widow you promised a contract and left in debt? What happened to the sick community you promised free roads and medicine, only to disappear with their money? She raised her hand and declared, The gods of this land may be patient, but they do not sleep. One day you will fall, not by gun or knife, but by truth. Tony ignored her, but her words pierced something deeper. His pride and ego made him to look down on her. Months later, Tony was in Ghana signing what he thought would be his biggest deal yet, a $5 million cross-border infrastructure contract with fake ECOWAS seals and fake diplomats. But this time, the people on the other end were not victims. They were Interpol agents working with Nigerian and Ghanaian authorities after months of investigation. His arrest was swift, quiet, and professional. The villa he was staying in was raided, laptops seized, forged documents exposed, offshore accounts traced, dozens of fake passports, business cards, and IDs were uncovered. His wife filed for divorce immediately after the news broke. Back in Nigeria, Tony was extradited and tried for international fraud, impersonation, cybercrime, money laundering, and identity forgery. He was sentenced to 32 years in prison without the possibility of early parole. The last time Tony was seen in public was in a courtroom, in handcuffs, his face gaunt and his designer clothes replaced with prison khaki. Back in Umuama, Mama Uzuamaka, now frail and nearly forgotten, sat quietly on her wooden stool. When asked if she was happy that the boy she raised had finally been caught, she only shook her head. When a child refuses to hear the drumbeat of home, the forest will teach him rhythm. And so ended the tale of Tony Wokedi, also known as Anthony Kalu Okore, also known as the village fraudster, whose ambition burned too bright and whose lies were eventually consumed by the truth. Subscribe to my channel for more crazy true stories from the heart of Nigeria. Turn on post notifications. Share this story with someone who loves village drama.